Psychonauts, greetings. Um, CAA Gateway Experience Part 1. Let's try to do this shit. Um, like 29 pages, 39 paragraphs, and I'm going to break down each one, 1 to 39. So let's get started. Hopefully, you watched the first intro video. Now we're going to go into. Let's just start. Number 1, paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 is another intro. He talks about the Monroe Institute a little bit, and again, let's go one more time. Let's go over why this document is so awesome. First off, there's no BS. So when the army writes it, so when the army's writing it, there's no ulterior motives or no, somebody's trying to make a profit. They're trying to get straight to the point. So there's awesome document, no bullshit. And in the beginning, he talked about in the first intro. I don't know if I went over it. First, he's like preps the reader, like it's that don't get offended. If you're religious, don't get offended, or that this won't collapse your whole belief system. And he said it actually maybe help support most belief systems, and it won't damage their structure of any religious institutions or anything. But I don't know about that, right? But that's how important this paper is. That before you read it, he has to prep them with that real big warning, right? So again, this Army writes it's no bullshit, and it's so concise and to the point, and it's bringing the esoteric and science together in the ways that I've been trying to do for a while. So I'm loving it. I'm gonna break down every every paragraph, right? It's gonna take a while, right? But let's go. So after that introduction, we have he talks about the best way to get into hemi-syncing, right? So there's 3 different ways. He talks about hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation. So he goes by how each one has different pathways to reach that. But I'll just go on. Number 2, second paragraph. Number 2, hypnosis. So number 2, second paragraph is about hypnosis, and it basically tells you how when a guy is hypnotizing you, like if you've been to the big group things, what he does is to put the left side of the brain to sleep. So the left side of the brain, which is responsible for logic and shit, he has to watch whatever has you watching this back and forth. So it gets bored. So it's like shut down, whatever. So the left side shuts down. So any suggestions that he does make go straight to the right brain without any filters from the left brain, right? Because it's been put to sleep. So like when they came to my high school, it was pretty cool. And then they told people that they were naked and they believed it and they were hiding, and it was incredible having to dance around like a fucking monkey or a chicken. And that why do they do it? Because that part of the brain that would filter and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" Listen to this fool has been shut down. So the part of the brain that would control your, I guess, inhibitions and shut down. So that's what happens there with hypnosis, and it allows more of an activation of more of a balance between the left and right. So if the left side shut down and right side is activated, you're going to get a more balance, especially if you're primarily left brain to begin with. So as far as let me check this out. As far as applying it to the hemi-syncing, they don't go too much into it. It's just talks about how hypnosis works in a process. So I guess so the reader can easily digest what's coming next, right? Third paragraph talks about transcendental meditation. And so, on the other hand, he says works in a distinctly different fashion. So, they say the guy, person needs 20 years experience to reach this. But the goal is to drive energy up the spinal cord, right? What's that? Kundalini, right? And have the bliss states. And so what they do is they break down. Actually, this is gonna be edited, so I'm gonna put a picture up of the graph I'm looking at right now. So they talk about the brain and the homunculus. Everybody knows about that. It's pretty cool. It's they call the little person in your inside your brain. So if they actually touch that part of the person in your brain, or like with a they cut your brain open and they stimulate that portion of the brain, you'll feel it. So if they touch the little person's foot in your brain, the homunculus's foot, you're gonna feel it in your foot. So they have a little map, and you might have seen the homunculus character where the sizes of the body parts correlate to how many nerve endings it has. So you'll see big lips, big tongue, big ears, gigantic hands, right, for the nerve endings. And yeah, that's the homunculus. And so they're saying that break it down easy, that people who transcendental meditate and achieve that bliss state, they're able to go in and stimulate their little homunculus on their own, so they can achieve bliss. So that's what the Army says the transcendental meditators that are advanced are doing. That's what the Army says, okay? And so as far as that goes, there's that's pretty deep as far as what's happening physically when you reach the Kundalini state. So basically, it has to do with the heart, and we all know that. Some of the metaphysics people know. So what we're trying to do is resonate. I'm trying to explain at the same frequency of our surroundings, which would be the Earth, and so that creates the amplifying effect of our aura, because we're able to use the Earth's field. And yeah, let me see what else. Give me some time. Oh yeah. So what the heart has to do with the heart is the heartbeat itself. So that's why you want to slow the heart rate down when you're meditating. And so what happens is they call it a bifurcation echo. And so when your heart's beating fast, the goal is to have a beat up and down the spinal column, the heartbeat up and down the whole spinal column without any echo. So if your heart's beating fast, there's always an echo that comes back from your heart. So if your heart's beating too fast, the echo is going to interfere with the sound, and it's going to kind of cancel out. So if you slow down your heart enough, you have that beat, boom, and you have that full echo up and down your spinal column, and that is a process of awakening or hemi-syncing, or so that is the goal. So lower your heart rate to have their whole heart sound vibrate up and down your kundalini without interference. And what happens, what that does, it resonates here in the brain. And if you're sitting still, and actually your brain, and it's resonating in your brain properly, it's like a millimeter, half a millimeter, your brain will be vibrating up and down just from the beat of your heart. And so you're going to get movement with pretty much no energy expenditure in your brain, which creates a resonance field that expands your aura. And this is pretty cool how they describe it. So each beat of the heart, boom, the aura goes across the whole planet. Pretty cool, right? So each beat, your field will 0.7 seconds cover the planet. And so this is Army talking. This is Army business. So what happens then is, well, let's just stop there. I don't want to get too deep there. So yeah, that's the goal of transcendental. And so they're saying transcendental meditators are able to go there deeper, stay there longer, and it's easy for them, pretty much, right? So Yeah, that's it. Let's go on from there. So I don't want to get too deep into that. So first we had hypnosis, then we had transcendental meditation. Now we have biofeedback, and this is where the Monroe Institute comes in, and they have tapes and frequencies that help you get there quicker, supposedly. And I'm gonna actually start trying those today. And I'm doing a little research, and there's a channel called Metaverse Music on YouTube. You can even find them, and they're free. And I'm gonna practice on some of those. Maybe you can check them out. They have different frequencies for different activities. So I'm gonna try some of that. But again, the biofeedback is helping. It's just helping you get to that low heart rate where you're able to be in the zone. I'm gonna call it the zone. Lower your heart rate, be the zones, because you can't. Like they use a thermometer, finger thermometer. That's another tool I'm gonna look into getting soon. And if you're able to raise the temperature on your hand, you're able to pretty much hemisync, because you can't get to that level of control without lowering your heart rate and getting to the zone. And so, biofeedback gives you cues to help you get there and train your body and recognize a feeling and kind of repeat it later, right? So, I'm gonna get a little more into that. I'm gonna use the metaverse stuff and a little, maybe try to make hot hands. Um, we have I don't call her Heater Kelly. She came up, one of the Psychonauts came up and they do myofascial release with their hands, and her hands up there were ridiculous. It was like 110 degrees. It was hot, right? So, um, yeah, there's something to this. So, yeah, biofeedback is another tool. So there's a lot of methods. Yeah, so there's the three methods to get there, right? And then he goes, paragraph 5 is Gateway and Hemisync. And that is a Monroe Institute, started by Bob Monroe back in I don't see they give a date here. But yeah, you can go get a tape and check out the Monroe Institute online. I think it's in LA. You can go check them out. Anybody wants to give me a little feedback on that, that would be awesome. But who knows what they're doing nowadays, right? So, uh, they have different tapes and different levels to go to, right? So, um, yeah, they say they can induce and sustain a hemisync with their tapes as you train. So that's what paragraph 5 is about. And maybe we'll do a whole video about that later when I do some research. Number 6 is pretty cool. It talks about lamp versus laser. And I brought that up in the first video. So how a 5-watt light bulb, you're not going to see shit, but a 5-watt laser will burn a hole in your ass, right? So I actually had gotten that from somebody else, Theoria Apophysis, on YouTube, aka Ken Wheeler. And he's awesome if you can check him out on YouTube. But I got that quote from him, and then I have this lamp versus laser analogy here also on paragraph 6. Pretty cool. Okay, I think I'm reaching time limits for my whatever. So I just hit a time limit. The video restarted. This is part 2. Paragraph 7 is where we get into the nitty gritty. This FFR, frequency following response, is the title of the paragraph here. And it's basically you're trying to match your frequency with the environment. And so, like when I put the metaverse tapes on, they're going to give us a frequency that correlates like 1 to alertness. So they'll give that frequency out. My brain will automatically try to in tune with it when it hears it. So when it hears it, your brain will automatically try to tune with it. So that's frequency following a response. And yeah, they want to induce a pattern that gets you into hemisyncing. So that's what they pretty basically this paragraph talks about. binaural beats. Check those out on YouTube. There's all kinds of fun ones you can do. Uh, and they do work. I've done one for concentration and ones for rest. And yeah, be careful with those too. You put the ones for rest on, you're trying to get shit done. You're gonna be drowsy, and they have yeah, they have one for frequency for every behavior, good and bad for of man. So yeah. And also, there's a good scene, fictional scene in the movie with the church, the spies. What'll come to me? But they send a frequency into this church, and everybody starts killing each other. It's a recent movie, anyway. Um, yeah. So FFR is your brain's matching the frequency that it hears, and some of it are frequencies are not audible to our ears, but it still registers in the brain, and the brain will act accordingly. So some of them you won't even hear; they're just feel it. So that's FFR. Okay, and I guess that's how the Monroe Institute works. Also, FFR, if you're doing it right, like with us, we go out in nature and we're trying to tune in with the Earth's natural frequency. And that's when you just feel good and it's right. So that's the good shit right there. So go out on the Earth, ground, take your shoes off, sit on the ground, and look at the sun. Focus the sun on the third eye and get a little FFR with the Earth and the sun going. That's how you really do it. But anyway, that's FFR, frequency following response. And we're talking about the Monroe Institute's version. Next, paragraph 8, the role of resonance. Um, so, um, this actually talks about what else the heart in detail, the heartbeat going up and down the spinal column without interference, and this goes into detail about how that occurs. I'll read it to you because it's pretty cool. And this change of resonance results from the elimination of what the medical profession calls the bifurcation echo, so that the sound of the heartbeat can move synchronously up and down the circulatory system in harmonious resonance approximately 7 times a second. Ooh. Bentoff describes the role played by the bifurcation echo as follows. When the left ventricle of the heart ejects blood, the aorta, being elastic, balloons out just beyond the valve and causes a pressure pulse to travel down along the aorta. When a pressure pulse reaches the bifurcation at the lower abdomen, which is the aorta forks into the two legs, part of the pressure pulse rebounds and starts traveling up the aorta. If in the meantime a heart ejects more blood, a new pressure pulse is traveling down and they kind of cancel each other out, right? So these two pressure points will eventually collide somewhere along the aorta and produce an interference pattern. By placing the body in a sleep-like state, the gateway tapes achieve the same goal. So, pretty cool. So that's paragraph 8, and that was role of resonance. I'll be editing and putting these up on one of these sides over here. Number 9. I'll probably end it here. It's getting a little too long. Yeah, let's stop it there. So number 9 will be brain stimulation. And stay tuned.